Hi, everybody. It's Maria Boynton. Thanks for joining me for yet another conversation. And I have to tell you, I am elated, extremely excited by the guests I have with me today. They are authors and they're all here in Metro Atlanta. And we're going to learn a lot about them and along with the works of art that they have created. We have Gwen, of course, is here today. Gwen Mason, how you doing?
I am exquisite, Maria. Thank you so much for allowing me to grace you with my presence and all of these incredible authors with our presence. So thank you so much for having us.
Of course, y'all, that's Gwendolyn Mason. We have Trish Angshel Roberts. How are you doing?
Yes, you said it well. Thank you. I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
I'm so glad I was able to pull that one off too. Dr. Keisha Williams, how are you doing today?
I am blessed by the best. Oh, yeah.
And of course, Tracy Rickert-Shaw, how you been?
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Of course, everyone, you can tell the energy here is high level energy here. And I'm so glad to see all of these smiles and to have all of these smiles and to hear it in your voice this morning, everyone. And again, it is the time of year where we all like to cuddle up, sit back, lay back, relax. Thought we'd help you with that a little bit to give you some Metro Atlanta ladies who are doing it all. They're not only writers and authors, but they have a lot going on in their lives. And we're going to find out what they do, how they're able to do it, and to pull it off so well. So Gwendolyn Mason, starting with you, I know when we talk about writing, you have a new book talking about courage. Now, why don't you tell everybody about your book and what it's about?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Atlanta. This is the time of year that transformation needs to take place. So I have written a book entitled Courage to Transform. Wisdom is the roadmap. This book will take you through all of the important elements of life, family, health, finances, relationships, right? It is going to take you through character and your spirituality and helping you to understand what is it that causes change in your life? What is it that you truly desire? What is it that you really want? All of the things that you desire and want begins with you. But there's transformation that has to take place within you in order to achieve all that you hope to achieve. So I take you through this incredible journey through my book of anthologies. You know, we like a little drama. So I've got a little drama to help you get to the point that you need to get to make that transformation. So I'm glad to be gracing this stage. And thank you, Maria, once again for having me.
Well, of course, Gwendolyn, it's great to know you, known you for a few years with all of your work with the Stewart Foundation. So you, I don't even know how you do it all, but we're going to get back to all of that. So Trish, tell everybody about your books and what made you want to write them?
So my most recent book is called 12 Steps to Mind-Blowing Happiness, a journal of insights, quotes, and questions to juice up your journey. And I got some amazing endorsements from it. So it's endorsed by Jack Canfield, who's known for Chicken Soup for the Soul, Marcy Shimoff, you might know her from the movie The Secret, and Iyanla Vanzant, who we know is an iconic spiritual life coach. But the reason I started writing it, after the pandemic started, before the pandemic started, I was planning a retreat out here in Atlanta. And I had been studying Buddhism and yoga for so many years and also life coaching techniques. And I wanted to share it with the planned participants. Of course, the retreat never happened because of 2020 and the pandemic. But I went ahead and first wrote my self-help memoir to share the 12 steps. It's called Thinking Outside the Chrysalis, A Black Woman's Guide to Spreading Her Wings. And after my readers started kind of getting into that book, then they really reached out to me saying that they wanted a place to journal and kind of work through the steps more completely. So that's how the second book was born. The two of them work really, really well together for people who are uncertain or looking for passion and purpose in their life to kind of walk through the steps. It starts really foundational with things like healing and spirituality and establishing connection and community, building authenticity and self-love. And it takes you all the way through to things like surrender and freedom, right? So, so that's how all of that happened. And I'm so excited to be here with you.
Well, thank you very much, Trish. Now, Dr. Keisha Williams, I met you a few years ago at the Stonecrest Library. Just happened upon an author's meeting, and you were there, and you were doing the Pepper Storm books. So tell everybody about that and how far you come.
Okay, so do I start with all of my books, Maria, or just jump right into Pepper Storm?
Well, you know what? Start with Pepper and then just tell us about the other books and why you wrote them.
Excellent. So this is my first book. Who is Pepper Storm? Pepper Storm is an 8-year-old who teaches young girls to love the skin that they're in. And I wrote this book because I remember when I was a child, I suffered low self-esteem. And I have 5 children, 4 girls and 1 boy. And I remember I never had a book to open up to remind me that I was beautiful. So I never wanted my children to suffer or with self-image. So I decided to write a book about it. And there's also a song that I sing with this book as well. Would you like to hear it, Maria?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I know that I am beautiful, as you can see, not because what's on the outside, but what's inside me. I'm smart and I'm gifted and I'll always be, because I believe that greatness is my destiny. Boom, boom. Who is Pepper Storm? I am Pepper Storm. Who is Pepper Storm? I am Pepper Storm. If you don't believe you're beautiful, then I can help. Take a look into the mirror and see for yourself. You're smart and you're gifted and you'll always be, because I believe that greatness is my destiny. Boom, boom. Who is Pepper Storm? So that's the Pepper Storm song.
Hey, y'all, give her a hand. That was great.
And then,
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. And then I followed up with Pepper Storm and the Gang, where Pepper Storm needs the help of her friends to help tell a story about bullying. And one of the things I like about my book is that you get 2 stories in one. So the first story is a poem and the second story actually teaches a lesson. But this character that you see right here, that's my middle daughter. That's my daughter. So I used her as my image. And then this is my latest book, My Purpose Journey. Oh, this is like a labor of love for me. Real quickly, I'll tell you why. Because in 2019, I lost my mom, okay? I quit my job, I became her full-time caregiver, all while pursuing a PhD, right? So there was a time where I'm like, I can't do it. I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna stop. And while my mom is laying in the hospital, she told me, Keisha, you better not quit. She said, don't worry about what I look like. Don't worry about this. You keep going. So I wrote this book to empower women to know that no matter what life throws at you, you keep putting one foot in front of the other. You never stop. You never give up. And then, so with that being said, I ended up writing another book. Oh,
Okay.
I'm an advocate for education and special needs kids, okay? And big words for small kids, because I feel like we need to change the narrative on how we educate our children. A is no longer for apple. A is for ambitious. B is for brilliance. C is for compassion. D is for differential. So we need to start our kids off young, at a young age, expanding their vocabulary. So this is why this book was birthed. And like I said, I have 4 girls and 1 boy. This is my son. And if you can see at the bottom, the blocks spell his name, Legend, because that's what we named him. The 4 girls, we had to name him Legend, okay? Because I told my husband I was ready to go 10 times until we got that boy, but we got him and we stopped.
I can't wait. Oh, okay, you got another book. Go ahead.
This is the last one, I'm sorry. And then
It's okay.
My last book, Carrot the Parrotfish. Like I said earlier, I am an advocate for special needs children. And I'm in the classroom and I see other kids that laugh, that talk about those with special needs. So I wrote this book to encourage them not to do that. Instead of laughing and talking, get to know them, because that's what makes these beautiful kids extraordinary. So this is why I ended up writing that book. And not to mention, last word, Maria, I promise, okay? So with the Pepper Storm series, I have activity books that goes along with the book to encourage reading literacy, along with fun activities that kids will love and enjoy. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay, Dr. Keisha Williams, great stuff. Thank you. And ladies, if I could remind you, when you're not speaking, just mute your microphones for us, because it kind of drowns out your words if somebody moves or says something, okay? So continuing on now, Tracy Rickard Shaw, how are you doing, lady?
Here today. And how am I supposed to come behind that?
Say that again, Tracy. Say the whole thing again for us.
How am I supposed to come behind that?
So
Can you hear
Keisha's,
me?
yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So yeah,
Okay.
but you are, because we know your book is The Ghosts of Douglas County, right?
It is. Absolutely.
So tell us about your book. Frederick Douglass is on the cover, and it's a nice table book. I have mine on my table. So tell us about the book, why you wrote the book, all of that.
So I moved to Douglas County. I bought property out here in 2006. And when I came in tow with two little boys. And so we kind of did what people do when you move to a new area. We went to the museum, we went to the library, we did all those things to kind of become more acquainted with the area. But I've always had an esoteric interest in African history. But it wasn't until I became grafted into the African American community in Douglas that I started to hear there was a duality of stories surrounding the creation of the county. There was one story that was official and told that was set in the museum and the official history. And then there was another story that I would hear when I would go into the African American community. And although I am an engineering professional by trade, I've always, as I said, had an interest in history. I love research. And so I wanted to do that research. And then in doing so, I was able to actually uncover and document the African history tied to the genesis of Douglas County. And so the book, while on the cover there is Frederick Douglass, and the book is about Frederick Douglass, but it is more prominently about the 19th century African American legislators who voted for the legislation to create Douglas County. And so we walk you through that story and we identify those people. Most people didn't even really realize that in 1868, we had 32 African American men voted into office to serve in the state legislature. At that time, there were 3 in the Senate, 29 in the House. And then in 1870, we had one more who was appointed. So it gives you that information and kind of walks you through that story. And I know for many years in Douglas County, that was something that was very controversial. I know that Fox 5 did a story and talked about Frederick Douglass being the original namesake, but we couldn't find the documents. And so I pretty much lived at the Georgia Archives, the Atlanta History Center, and also sitting at the table of elders and putting together documents that prove at least that the county was originally named Douglas, and that evidence is in that book from the state of Georgia. Douglas was originally spelled with 2 S's. And so we kind of tie that into the relationship that the legislators who voted for this county had a personal relationship with Frederick Douglass. So it was my honor to do it. And what I learned and what I hope that I'm able to do for others as to inspire. There is probably tons of African history in your areas. Even though it's not officially documented, you can find it. And I always tell people that the story of Alex Haley and Roots inspired me to keep going with this book because he was about to give up when he was researching his family and was in an archival room and said, I cannot find them. I know my family should be here, but I can't find them. And there was a woman who said, what is the problem? And so when he told her that, she said, your problem is if your family was born before 1865, you are looking for people when you should be looking for tools. And so he went to the tool register, and on the tool register, he found a rake, a shovel, Johnny, Sally, and those were where his people were. So when people have researched the history of Douglas County, they only relied on what was called the official records. But for Africans in this country, much of our story rests within the lines of the official records. And so you have to put it together and piece it together because it might not always be literally written out for you and documented based on European standards.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for that. Everyone, we're going to work our way backwards now. So, Tracy, I need to know, you have a life. We know you do. You do so much in the community. How are you able to do the research, write this book, and what do you hope to achieve by putting this book out there?
Well, I am very active. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 2 sons. I'm a member of the Links Incorporated. I serve as the chair of the Board of Education in Douglas County. I'm a member of the National Council of Negro Women. I keep really busy, but history has always been something that's been very important to me. And I think that we make room for the things that we find to be important. And so research is something that I know, and a lot of people don't have the time. So I crafted out the time to actually work from the archives. I'm on a first name basis from everybody from the security guard to the receptionist to all the archival team there. But it's something that was important to me. And I think that is my legacy. I'm at an age now where I've been successful in career. And I think after you pass that 50 mark, you can start working on legacy. And this is my legacy. I want to leave this for my children and grandchildren and all children and for my community. So just being dedicated.
Thank you for that, Tracy. So Dr. Keisha Williams, you have all of those books, Pepper Storm being the first. You started, you felt the adrenaline rush, and you just kept going. And you talk about how important it is to change the momentum when it comes to teaching our children. You have four girls and a boy.
Yes.
Now, how are you able to do all of that, chase a PhD, and write, 30 books, it seems?
I think the only thing I can say is that I'm very strategic and organized, okay? That's how, I actually run my home like a corporation, okay? Everyone has their role, their position, and when all the links come together, oh man, it's amazing, right? So that's how I'm able to be the best that I can be and go out and spread light and love in the world, okay? So that is really how I'm able to do it, with organization and being strategic.
All righty, Keisha, thank you so very much. So Trish, I know that you've gotten a lot of endorsements for your work. What prompted you to start writing, and how were you able to do it and to keep writing it? And what do you hope to achieve with putting your books out there, Trish?
It's funny, Maria, because I've been writing my whole life. And early on, I stopped writing because my first book, I wasn't able to get a publisher. And I learned from that because I stopped writing for 20 years, which is crazy. I'm giving away my age. But I learned from that how important it is to be focused in your passion and your purpose. I was pursuing a completely different career in finance, which is still great. And I still do some things in finance. But now I'm really able to teach people how to not do what I did, how to not lose track of your passion, because it's so easy to do. Many times we're taught that we need to be a doctor or a lawyer or work in business or whatever our parents thought were quote unquote good jobs for us. And we can easily lose track of the things that really bring us joy and the things that we're most talented and gifted to share with the world. So it's interesting when Tracy was talking about history, because the pursuit of happiness is in our Declaration of Independence, right? But I think many times we lose that and we start pursuing things, or we start pursuing money, and we forget to really nurture our spiritual self, our community connections, our passion, our purpose, and our joy. So my goal is really to teach 12 million people the 12 steps to mind-blowing happiness in the next 12 years. And the reason that I want to do that is because happy people don't hurt people. They don't destroy the environment. They show up differently in the world. And I would like to be a part of the transformation of people so that we can engage and interact with each other in a more loving and purposeful way. So that's where all that comes from.
Thank you, Trish. So Gwendolyn, transformation is what your book talks about too, your courage. Give us the name of your book again, Gwen,
Sure.
and talk about how you were able to get it done and what you hope to achieve by putting your works out there.
Well, it is entitled Courage to Transform. And the way that I was able to get it done, Maria, is because my Heavenly Father, God, spoke to me. He said, you write it, I will bless it. And when God speaks to you, if you don't do anything else, you better get up and go and do that which he has called you to do. And he called me to write this book, and I got very serious about it. I had written some components of it the year before, but I got really, really serious once he spoke to me. So I went up to the mountains on the first day of August, and I did not come back until the 7th day of completion. So I was called to do this. I am woman. Watch me roar. And God has given me that, because when you are in the lion's den of adversities, trials, tribulations, and the roaring lions are around and about you, know that with your faith, that God will bring you through and he will bring you out. Because as I've gone through breast cancer and being a breast cancer thriver, had a bilateral mastectomy and divorce and, loss of job and, loss of, material things, God still showed me that he was faithful. And when he brought me through better than I could have ever imagined. So going and having this courage to transform has brought me to this place where, and to balance it all, to be able to do all of the great work that he's called you to do. And I am adamant about utilizing every single talent, skill, and ability that he's given me. I am going to put it into his people and in his kingdom to build up every single individual that I come in contact with. That is my duty. That is my responsibility. So I utilize my minutes very, very carefully, and I invest those minutes that have been given to me. I think about Dr. King, and I think about Mother Teresa, or even Harriet Tubman, that they had the exact same number of minutes during the course of the day that I have. But it is about how you utilize those minutes and being very, very careful about that, because time is something that you can't get back. Right? Time is something that's very, very precious, and I am going to utilize it, maximize it, and make sure that I'm investing in our people, because people is the most precious commodity of the world. Some may think it's gold, silver, bronze, or oil, or what have you, but no, it is the people. So I need to ensure that I leave my legacy. I leave by the power of the pen is so absolutely crucial, because I want those who come behind me not to make the mistakes that I've made, but I want them to learn from my journey so that they grow further and they become greater than I've ever imagined being.
Thank you, Gwen. So how can people get your book?
Well, you can simply go to, and this is so you can get a pen and paper, the World Wide Web, GABB Enterprises with an S.com. Once again, that's GABB Enterprises with an S.com. Pick yours up today.
Thank you so much, Gwendolyn Mason, everybody. That's how you can get her book. So Trish, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know how we can get your book?
Yes, absolutely. So my books are available on Amazon, or you can visit my website, trishagelroberts.com, or it's easier to spell. You can go to mindblowinghappiness.com, all one word, and it will redirect you.
Spell that Agel for everybody listening.
It's Trish Agel, AHJEL Roberts.
All righty. Thank you very much, Trish. Dr. Keisha Williams, all those books that you have, how can people get your books?
So of course, you can get My Purpose Journey and the rest of my books from KeishasWilliams.com. That is KESHIUS Williams.com. Again, KESHIUS Williams.com.
All righty. This is just great. You all are truly an inspiration. I want you to know that. And so we have Tracy Rickard Shaw, who is here with the Douglas County book, the table book. It's a beautiful blue. I have mine on the table, and it just goes so well with my decor, I must say. So Tracy, tell everybody how to get your book.
Thank you, Maria. You can, it can be purchased on Amazon. So you would just search for Ghosts of DouglasCounty.com. Ghosts of Douglas County. And then also you can go to my website, which is the 3 W's, Ghosts, and that's plural, of Douglas, spelled with 2 S's.com.
And in all of your research, when you came upon, Douglas with 2 S's and all of that, because that's striking for me. I was like, 2 S's, and everything. When you came upon the stories and you came upon the realization of what all of that was about, what did you think? I've got so much to share with the world now. Is that what happened with you?
Well, one of my mentors in my head is a woman by the name of Annette Gordon-Reed, who is an amazing attorney from Harvard. And one of the things she said is that when you have certain parts of history is tied to power. And the person who can tell the story has the power. And so I thought, this would either be, you either love it or you absolutely hate it. So I think that it was something that I wasn't necessarily shocked when I found it, but I was more, I don't even know how to work. I wasn't necessarily shocked, but I was grateful that I could at least find a lot of the records and tie them together. So, and it's been good to educate the community, but those who will hear and see will hear and see. And those who choose not to do so will not believe the documents that are in the book. But that's why we went through. It is a pictorial. Half of the book, the first part is the narrative and the story. And then the balance of the book is actually, it documents the African footprint in the county. So there's some beautiful photos and it'll show you where 19th century Africans were traveling. And then you also have a section on the actual legislative section where we actually were able to get the state of Georgia to provide us with those documents so you can see it in the original hand. I actually held in my hand the legislation from 1870 with the governor's wet signature, where he signed this county into law, spelling it with Douglas with 2 S's. So it was an honor to do it.
Okay, everyone, you got about 30 seconds each, ladies. I need you to, what advice would you give people, those who, whether you want to talk about who want to become a writer or author, or just in terms of progression in life? And starting with you, Tracy, what advice would you give people? 30 seconds.
Do it.
Okay. Thank you, Tracy.
Do it.
Dr. Keisha Williams.
The advice I would give young people and anyone is don't talk about it, be about it. Okay. Don't talk about it, be about it. If it's something that you have in your heart, put it on paper, because like someone said earlier, this is your legacy. These books that we leave behind to our children, to the world, that's our legacy. So whether we're here or not, our legacy will live on. So just make sure you write and do it. Don't be about it. Do it. Be about it.
Okay, Trish Anshel Roberts. And you're muted.
Every day, take some time for gratitude. Maybe write down 3 things you're thankful for each day. Be grateful for your health, your body. Pay attention to gratitude, number 1. And number 2, every week, take some time for your passion, whether it's writing or something else. If it's not your regular job, at least set aside a couple of hours each week.
Gwendolyn Mason.
Oh, wow. I would certainly say, in order to discover the most remarkable you, have the courage to step outside of who you are. Take a good, strong look at you. Be true to you. Be fair to you. Be honest with you. Identify those vices that are holding you back, holding you down. Because in order for the change to take place, you've got to identify that there is a problem. But only you can jump back in and make those significant changes. Have the courage, be brave enough, love yourself enough to be true to you so that you can truly go and soar. And the other thing I want to make sure that our audience understands and knows that how far you go in life depends on your being tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant of the weak and strong, because someday in life you will have been all of these.
All righty. Oh, this is so spiritual, everybody. Thank you so very much for your time, for sharing your works with us. And everyone, we gave you the information, and we're going to post all of this so everyone can find it and go and get these great books by these dynamic and beautiful and wonderful authors. Ladies, I have truly enjoyed the time that we have spent today. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so very much.
Thank you,
It is
Maria.
my honor. It is my honor and indeed my pleasure. Everyone, thank you for joining us. I'm Maria Boynton.